Well, good afternoon, Carrie. Thanks for your comment. Hmm. So, um, as much as I appreciate that comment, I'm going to share something else with you here. I'm going to show you this is a picture. This is a picture of my wife wearing a T-shirt that she loves wearing out in public. It's fantabulous. It's one of her favorite T-shirts to wear. Look at there. Yep, that's right. That's her. All full foot 11 of her. Yeah, we've been together 36 years. We've been married going on 35 years. It took me a couple of years to snare the trap. But yeah. We just celebrated our 34th anniversary this past April. So we're coming up on number 35. Look at her. 4 foot 11 inches of fine, boy. Look at her. And she's not just that she's fine, right? And it's not just that she gave me 5 beautiful children, but it's also that she's got a significant amount of sense, you see, and everything. As you can see here with her little T-shirt here, it says, women shouldn't vote. Well, she's just an internalized misogynist thing. Well, you just probably won't let her have her own thoughts and ideas and opinions and all that kind of stuff. Yeah, you probably just browbeat her and make her wear that shirt, or she just doesn't even know any better. She must be retarded, and she just doesn't really. She's just not smart enough to know how much she's being oppressed and abused. Dang, that's what a lot of folks say, especially feminists like yourself. Now I went and looked over at what part of your webpage is publicly visible, and I surmise that you would probably say, I'm not a feminist. Oh yeah, young Padawan, but you are. And so, as far as everyone's a feminist to one degree or another, let's just say that, but I digress. So she wore her T-shirt when we went and voted last November, when we voted for President Trump. And I was standing beside her showing the poll worker my identification because we do live in the great state of Alabama. We do live in the great state of Alabama. And so we have voter ID laws here. So I was showing my ID, and she was beside me with the other poll worker checking in, showing her her ID. And that dude that was checking her in, he said, read her shirt, and he goes, well, then what are you doing here? And just right on cue, just really spontaneously, she gestured over at me beside her and said, I just vote the way he tells me to. Hello. That's right. That's what you call a helpmate right there. She looks pretty happy. See that smile on her face? That is not the face right there of an oppressed, abused, neglected woman who is not allowed to make her own decisions. No, ma'am, Heidi, it is not. Would you look at that? God, I'm gonna have to hide that picture right there. I won't be able to finish my video looking at all that fineness in one place. At any rate, so the reason that we hold that opinion, and the reason a lot of folks hold that opinion that women, in fact, should not vote, and that one of the worst things to ever happen to our Constitution was the 19th Amendment. The reason that we hold that view, one example of it, is right here in your comment. Okay, so let me set the stage for you. And I'm not even going to talk about how juvenile and the term convo is and how you're using that. You know, convo tells us right there that you're not even intelligent enough or mature enough to even have this conversation. But David J. Harris Jr., see, we're all on the right. We're all on the right, but unlike women, men don't see themselves as a small part of a greater whole. See, women do that. That's why women will refer to they'll speak for the group. They'll refer to the whole group a lot of times. Like if someone like there's a group and someone in the group says, hey, I got laid off, yesterday, and I'm in the job market looking for something, some work. So, if y'all have any leads, let me know. It'd be very common for a woman in that group to speak up and say, well, we'll be on the lookout. Say she'll comment for the whole group because in the machine language of her mind, she doesn't see herself as an individual. The feminine mind, this includes feminine thinking and feminized men, they don't see themselves as individuals. They see themselves as a part of a group, that sort of stuff, or like if someone in the group expresses some sort of a personal crisis or something, then a woman in the group will often speak up and say, well, we'll be praying for you. See, she'll commit for the whole group. You know, if someone says, hey, I might be leaving town next week for a while, if y'all could just kind of keep an eye on my house when I drive. I may not be leaving, but I might be leaving. So if y'all keep an eye on my house or whatever the case may be, there'll be a woman in the group that'll speak up and she'll say, well, let us know. She'll speak for the whole group. Men don't do that. Men don't operate as this nebulous group. Men operate at a hierarchy. See, men come together and one man will say, well, I have these skills, gifts, and abilities, and I want to accomplish a certain task, reach a certain goal. The other guy will say, well, I can do what you do too, but I can also do these skills, gifts, and abilities over here that I'm a lot better at. Okay, well, let's work together. I'll make up for your deficits. You make up for my deficits. We'll accomplish the goal. And this could end up including hundreds or thousands of men. But they don't get together and pass out duties and job assignments. They get together and they each have individual gifts and abilities and such. Even if they have the same gifts and abilities, one may be a bit more expert at a gift than the other one. So, but they'll come together and they'll work together and they will sort themselves into a hierarchy. But they are not a group like the feminine mind sees themselves as a rudimentary part of a big group. No, they see themselves as individuals who are collaborating together into a hierarchy to accomplish a task. And these two different foundational ways of thinking for the male and the female mind is why there's not a building on the planet that's ever been built by a crew of nothing but women. Now, there are some homes and other buildings that have been built by crews of workers that included women on the crew. No, that's true. But there's never been a building on this planet built by nothing but women. No, the opposite is not true about men because there are many, I would go so far even to wager saying most buildings on this planet have been built by crews of nothing but men. I mean, I'll go out on a limb and say most of them. And the reason this is the case is because women don't work within hierarchies. Women work within groups because they're social creatures. So the task accomplishing the goal is not as important to the general feminine mind. That's not as important as the group getting along and making sure that everyone feels a certain way and enjoys a certain way and thinks of themselves in a certain way. The social dynamic of the experience. This is why women talk so much about their journey. It's the experience, their lived experiences. That's what's really important to the female mind. But to the masculine mind, what's important is accomplishing the goal, completing the task, that sort of stuff. Man and a woman goes on a road trip together. Typically, the man's wanting to make good time and get to his destination, and the woman's wanting to smell the roses and look at the scenery and stop at a few little stores along the way, some little local stores to do some shopping because she's focused on the experience, whereas the man is more focused on the accomplishment. I'm telling y'all that to tell you this because I'm going to come back and map it right back to the stupid comment you made right over here. Okay, David J. Harris, we're all on the right, like I said a few moments ago. But just because we're all on the right don't mean that we're all in agreement. And it doesn't mean that we all believe the same things. And it doesn't mean that we're all a part of this nebulous cloud of conservatives, which is how the female mind sees it. That's why your comment says what it says. But wait, there's more. See, we're on the right, but the masculine-minded people on the right can understand that we're not all on the same team necessarily. We're not all in agreement, and that there will be people on the right who will need to be called out when they're doing dumb shit that will deter and slow us down from accomplishing the task at hand. there is a task on the right. We're not just hanging out like we're at a wine and painting party. We're not hanging out like we're just sitting around, just a girls' night out, or we're at a sewing circle quilting bee or something like that. No, we're about trying to accomplish a task. And I would doubt that you, Miss Carrie, can even tell me what it means to be a conservative. Looking at your little comment right here tells me that you're about a lot more about the social experience of it all. So your friends and family and such, they probably all support Donald Trump. They probably all support Republican candidates. They're probably all on the right. So, you just figure, well, I'm a part of the group. So I'm a conservative too. You see, Mr. David J. Harris is very, very good about what I said in his comment here. Posting half-truths, mistruths, untruths, stuff like that. He'll post that stuff. And he has a lot of followers like you who just want to belong to the group. You just want to be on the team. You see, you just want to be included and part of the journey and that sort of stuff. So y'all don't really care about that. You see, one big thing that's a cornerstone of conservatism is restraining the size of government. Having government as small as it has to be to do its necessary tasks. That's a big tenet among conservatism. So that's one of the tasks. One of the goals is to get the work down, to get government down as small as possible. And there's a lot of stuff that has to go on to do that. The masculine mind is looking at getting those things done in order to accomplish that task. The masculine mind is not looking at making friends and making people feel like a part of the group. It's not interested in that social aspect of the feminine mind, and that you are obviously interested in here. So in this situation, what Mr. David J. Harris Jr. has done, and does quite a bit, is actually very harmful to the cause of conservatism. Very harmful. It hurts our credibility. It alienates people who are actually looking for the truth and actually want to live in the truth. It deters from accomplishing the goal. It makes him money. It builds him a bigger following on social media and even the talking head spots on different, news shows and stuff like that. It benefits him, but it actually takes away from accomplishing the goal. And accomplishing the goal is what's most important to men, not belonging to the group. So what Mr. David Kosela right here said is absolutely true. When I saw what David J. Harris Jr. posted, I thought, well, that's interesting. I could make some content off of that. So I went to start looking to verify it, because I know that David J. Harris Jr. would be a lying ass sometimes, and he don't care. But even a broken clock is right twice a day, right? So even though he's a liar and deceiver and manipulator, he's a snake in the garden over here on the right. Sometimes some of the stuff he says is correct and true and useful. So I went to look up the information to verify and clarify what he said, and I couldn't find nothing. Couldn't find nothing. So I came to the comments to post that to comment that I couldn't find anything, and to ask if anyone else has found any public record that this senator has actually said what David J. Harris Jr. claims he said. When I came across David Kosela, I don't know how to pronounce that, but came across his comment, so I said, well, somebody's already said that. That's fine. I responded to David, say, as you can see here, I can't find this either. David J. Harris Jr. does this sort of thing all the time, which is true. And his followers, like you, just keep right on following. Here's why my wife wears that t-shirt that women shouldn't vote. your comment. You didn't say anything to show that what David J. Harris Jr. said was actually true. You didn't offer any information to tell me or David where we could verify this information. You didn't do anything tangible, objective, substantive to defend David J. Harris Jr.'s claims. What did you do? Immature, childish, sophomoric sassiness. I don't know how old you are. I'm 54 years old. I don't know how old you are, but your comment here is the typical behavior of a middle school girl who's just trying to outsass her classmates so she can be cute, so she can feel like she done did something. She done had her say. I said what I said. That's all you had to offer. And that's all. When I see a woman comment online, or when I'm in the presence of a woman in these kind of conversations, and she speaks up and she actually has something substantive to add, like my wife does, because she's pretty damn smart and fine. I mean, that's the only thing I think that exceeds her fineness is her intelligence, her intelligences, her educations, her understandings. See? So there are women out there who can think in a more masculine, critical way. When I come across them, I'm shocked, man. I said, look here, man, I hear angels off in the distance start singing. I am so shocked and amazed. Because mostly what you get are things like your stupid little comment right here. And yeah, here you are, helping to keep the convo going. Sure thing, girl. That's right, girl. You told him, didn't you? Mm-hmm. But you didn't add shit. Nothing. Just noise. Look at me. I'm a pretty girl. Look at me. See my hair? I'm so pretty. That's all you freaking had. And it should really take deeper thinking and more understanding than that to be able to vote. So keep on commenting. Keep on giving me more evidence for why we should repeal the 19th Amendment. Look here, you're killing me, Smalls. You're killing me, Smalls. And I'm Dane.